Now, about a year ago, I started up a series seeing how quickly I could turn £1,000 into £10,000. We bought the first car and we actually sold it and we made a profit. And for some reason, I stopped the series there and I never carried on. I'm pretty sure it's because I got absolutely sidestepped with doing projects and big projects which I really wanted to do, but I finished them then, I've got it out of my system and I want to continue this series. Now, the first car was always going to be the hardest because we had a minimal amount of money to spend and we're trying to maximise profits. And trying to find a car nowadays under £1,000 is actually difficult. But I found this Volkswagen Bora and it was the 1.8 turbo. So it's basically what a Bora GTI would have been if it existed. Now, I got this car for £500 because it needed a gearbox, so we managed to source a second-hand gearbox and we also put a new clutch in it and some other bits and bobs as well. Now, I actually managed to sell the Bora for £1,350, which actually gives us a pocket of £1,625 to carry on to the next project. So that has left us with a pot of £1,600, meaning I have to buy a car and fix it within that budget. So let's introduce the next car which we have bought for the series. Yes, it is a Megane Renault Sport 225 Cup. Now, if you haven't watched my channel for that long, I actually had an R26 many moons ago. It was around maybe 4 years ago, and I absolutely loved it. It was actually one of my favourite cars. I've actually done a recent video on my second channel going over the top 10 cars I've ever owned. So if you'd really go over and subscribe to my second channel, it gives me an opportunity to put some more content on there which I wouldn't usually film for this channel. Similar to the content I used to film many years ago before YouTube has changed to be a more production show. So head over to my second channel. In fact, that car actually marked the height of my YouTube channel, and I believe where I am today and having a YouTube channel actually come from this car. Now, this isn't an R26, it's a Cup 225, so it's a 225 Cup, so it's still a cool version. Now, I actually picked this car up for £1,000, which with how the market is going at the minute is very, very, very good. All of the Renault Sports have gone crazy value at the minute. I remember actually picking up a Clio 182 around 5 years ago, 172 when I got that for £1,000. Now you can't really see them for less than 3 or 4 really good condition ones. Now, these are going for around about 3 or 4 grand, depending on the condition. Now, I actually got this for £1,000, and it is rough, but there are a lot of good things about the car, and let me show you. The worst thing about the car is the front end. There's actually a funny story about this car, and I recently learned that this is the Megane that Michael Schumacher crashed on track at Three Sisters. So you can see there's quite a bit of damage that's been done to the front. The headlights are barely in, the headlights are cracked, the bonnet doesn't shut, which is why there's a lot of tape down here. And I've actually done more damage because I ratchet strapped the front of the bonnet because I was scared about it flying up on the trailer. And when I strapped it, it was fine, but I've got home and there's a big bend in it. So I'm guessing I've gone over the bump and it's just gone boing. Well, actually, I now know exactly how that happened, but let's start from the start of the day to find out. So the car is literally outside there on the trailer. I'm very excited to start today, even though the weather is absolutely horrendous. But the main thing is what's horrendous is that my holy cup is empty. So we definitely need to make another one. Now, these things are absolutely amazing. I've got 3 big boxes here, and you can see how much I go through. Every single day I have one religiously. Now, I've struggled with like low energy, fatigue, just like being a miserable bar steward. And I actually have struggled with that for quite a while. And the only thing that actually really helped was these vitamin B12 tablets. Now, I actually stopped taking those because Holy has got a similar dose in one scoop of their drink, but with a ton of other stuff in there specifically designed for low energy, low fatigue, low focus, and it tastes really nice instead of swallowing tablets every day. My favourite one is definitely this one, the strawberry, 100%. I do like the grape as well, which is why I've got one of that, but you can see it's a bit more full. Even though I have just got 2 new flavours here as well. I've actually gone with the iced tea, I'm intrigued to try that. But they've got a new bubblegum one out, and I'm really excited to try this one. Also, this is the strawberry kiwi hydration. Now, a lot of times I do a lot of driving, I don't drink as much water as I should, so now and again I like to throw one of these in, and it's getting to the point now where I can't leave the house without one. And the best thing is, I know that I can easily and healthily have one every morning because there's zero bullshit in these. And that's their actual tagline of a company, zero bullshit. So they've got zero sugar, zero added flavour, zero taurine, all that bullshit, there's none of it. So I know I can have one every day, even though I'm getting a little bit addicted, but I can have one every day and it's still good for me. So let's get down to the unit and let's look over this car and see what the hell I've got myself in for. And if there is ever a better moment to test Holy, it's right now because they've got a Black Week sale where you can get £10 off the starter set deluxe, and not only that, adding my code LEE5 will get you a whole £15 off, which is an amazing deal. Right, so we've got to just hook the trailer up. Also, if you want living proof of that, I'm not actually lying about the Holy. They're everywhere. This is me pulling the Megane off the trailer, and I didn't make a mistake when ratchet strapping the bonnet down, but look what it did. The hook got caught on the trailer and boom, it popped the bonnet. I've literally only just realised this watching this clip, and I don't know if that is so frustrating. That is so frustrating. First of all, I thought I'd just, look, I'm doing it again. First of all, I thought I'd just hit the I'd hit the wheel arch of the trailer, but now I know what happened, so, oh well, luckily they're not that expensive. So we're going to need a new bonnet. This headlight's done as well, that's not cracked. The bumper's in terrible condition, so it's had a front end crash on track. But let me go over some of the good bits about this car and why I think it's still a bargain. Somebody has took quite good care of this in the past. As you can see, it's got the R26 4-pot Brembo calipers with pretty much brand new discs, and that's front and back. It's actually got wet tyres on at the minute, and the car actually came with a set of dries on Zestino semi-slicks, which is awesome. We've got a microwave. I didn't see that. We've got a microwave, and we've still got some of the original panels. Now somebody is actually, if you can see here, somebody has ran braided brake lines and a bias switched all the way through the car. So we have a bias switch here for the front and rear brakes, and you've got braided brake lines all the way through going to the rear tyres. Those are not cheap, and this is a Wilwood brake bias. So this is awesome, and that also is not cheap. It's got a nice bucket seat. It's got the Cobra bucket seat in there, the nice ones, which are almost very similar to a Recaro pole position. So it's a nice seat, and we've got some OMP harnesses as well, which again are not cheap. But of course, it's not all a sing and a dance with this car. It has had a front end smash. It's been off the road for many years. I can't even remember the last time it's got an MOT, and it's also got no logbook, so I'm going to have to wait for that to come through the post, which is very annoying when you're doing a car flipping series. Now, the guy actually didn't know too much about this car. Basically, he had to get a friend round to him and say what's been done to it. So lo and behold, I don't fully know, but I know it's got an exhaust, I know it sounds pretty good, and I know it's been remapped. That's pretty much all he said. The guy said he won it on a giveaway on Instagram. They dropped the car off and it's been sat there ever since because it needed too much work and he didn't know how to fix cars. So this is where we swooped in, and we've got an RS225 Cup for £1,000. Now, however bad this car looks, the good thing is it starts up, and it starts up really good, and it drives. And there's also no engine management lights on the dash as well. It has got a service light which come up, which honestly could just be a, like an interval service, and it's got under 100,000 miles. It's got 99,000 miles on the clock. Another issue with the car is that there's something wrong with the belt, because as soon as you rev it, it's very squeaky. As you can hear, it's got a blanking plate on it as well, which is one of the first mods I ever did to this car, so that's why it flutters. So we have £600 left to fix and clean up this car to sell for a profit. So let's stop faffing around, let's get it in the unit and let's see how much work we need to do. I've just been moving it around for a better picture and the squeaking has stopped, so I'm guessing there was just some shit on the belt. Oh, no. Oh, no. So let's get it in the unit and let's get it up in the air. So the first thing we're going to check is we're just going to go around all the wheels and see if anything's got any play. First and foremost, this is what they'll do on an MOT for check for any play in the bushes and things like that. So this is a great trick to see if any bushes or any steering components are failing. Just give the wheel a nice shake left to right and up or down. So there's a tiny amount of side to side play on this wheel. I can see a little bit of movement in the trap rod and the tie rod, but interestingly enough, that's a new trap rod and a new tie rod. So I'm guessing potentially something might not just be tight. Now coming underneath the car, it is really good. We've got 0 engine oil leaks, 0 gearbox leaks. It's completely dry under here. On each side, we've got new links on everything, drop links, stabilizer links on each side. So they're new on that side, new on this side. Every single brake line is braided all the way. So we've literally, even the hard lines have been replaced with braided brake lines. That is not cheap. So you've got literally every single brake line is braided and new all the way to the caliper, through the bias bar, into the car, to the rear brakes. Every single line is braided, which is amazing. You can see the issue here. Ronnie had a look earlier as well, and I can see it now. The fan belt is tiny. So as you can see the alternator there, it should be a bigger belt on there. I think Ronnie said that it looks like the air conditioning's been deleted and the smaller belt's been put on. So I'm not sure if that's just loose and that's why it's squeaking. Oh my God. Right, yeah, so the belt is super loose. So that is not ideal. So that's why it's squeaking. It's probably skipping on the pulley. So that's why it's squeaking. So that should be a simple enough fix. I'm just hoping that the air conditioning isn't the actual tightener for the belt. Coming down the car, it's got a full 3-inch exhaust all the way with a flexi on there. So full 3. I'm not sure the brand, it doesn't say on this stake here, but someone might be able to tell me what the brand exhaust is. But it's 3-inch all the way back. Coming to the back of the car, minimal rust with the whole car as well. No rust on the sills of the body. And the subframe is barely any, just a little bit of surface. Again, 3-inch. Both exhaust mounts are ruined. This one and whatever someone did here, I'm not sure what they tried to do, but that's ruined. So that's why it's rattling from the back. Again, braided brake lines all the way to each caliper, which is amazing. And it's on H&R lowering springs as well, which seem to be pretty new. I think they're standard Renault shocks on the back. Yeah, standard Renault shock on the back. But there's something interesting about the shocks on the front. So you can see on the shock on the front here, it has got a H&R lowering spring, and they look like new shocks as well. But there's something interesting about the top mounts, which I'll show you in a minute, but also good to note, it has got the R26 Brembos, and the discs are pretty much brand new, and the pads are pretty much the same as well, and that goes for the back as well. Literally brand new discs, absolutely 0 lip, and a lot of it have barely even been used, to be fair. And I'm not sure what they are, Jurid, cheap brake pads on the back. But we're going to get some new PBS pads all around. Not sure pads on the front, I can't see for the Brembos. But let's drop it down a bit and let's have a look under the engine bay, because there's something interesting going on in there. Now the bonnet doesn't shut, so I'm guessing there's something wrong with the latch down here. And I did that damage as well, which I'm really, really annoyed about. Have we got a, oh we do. So if you look here, we have some Silver Project, not heard of them personally, but we have adjustable top mounts as well for the camber. So that is good. So we've got a standard shock, the H&R lowering spring with the adjustable top mounts. I'm not quite sure why this person didn't just go with a coilover, because obviously buying all that might have been a new shock, spring, top mount. It probably would have just been easier, cheaper to get a set of coilovers. But I actually like, especially for road cars, I prefer the way a lowering spring drives, to be fair, especially for road cars. And this is a Megane 225 engine, commonly known for being absolutely horrendous to work on. There's just no room in here to do anything. It's pretty standard. The only thing it's got is a blanking plate there, which is what it causes the flutters. And it's got a ram air filter down here again, which causes some nice flutters. But other than that, it's pretty much stock under here. Now the car has been in a front end crash, so we're going to take off all the front end and see if there's any more damage being hidden underneath the panels. So this is great news. So now we've got the bumper off, we can actually see there's no damage behind the bumper at all. All the crash bars fully intact. And the good thing about these is there's so much room between the intercooler and the radiator that even if you do have an impact, it usually never really bursts the intercooler and the radiator because the gap there is massive. But I'm glad we don't have to actually replace the bash bar. But this light has took the worst hit. But the bottom brackets are actually still intact, so we probably could get away with plastic welding this one, cleaning them up, and we're only getting one headlight. But let's remove all of the tape and just see if there's any damage on this one as well. Now the passenger headlight is absolutely battered and definitely needs replacing, and even looking at the other one, the gaffer tape's ruined it. It's probably easier just to get a new headlight. Now firstly, we actually need to remove the headlight. There's actually quite a funny story about these Meganes. They got a load of stick for not being able to change a headlight bulb. Now you can actually get them through the wheel arch. It is a pain, and I remember working at Halfords, I was one of the only people in there who could actually change a headlight bulb on this Megane without taking the bumper off. So I know this job far too well, and it is still a bit of a pain just to find the bolt holes to remove the headlight. Now, as you can see, the bonnet is not closing, so something is wrong with the latch. Now, a lot of times when this happens, it's usually just the pull inside the car is actually pulled forward. But as you can see, in this case, it is springing back, which is good. So we need to take all of the wiring out the way, get the plastics out the way, and have a look what's going on with this bonnet latch.
You can just see the bonnet latch up there, and you can actually see the cable. So what's meant to happen is the cable's meant to pull this spring this way, and then when you let go, it's meant to snap back. And to me, it looks like it's not snapping back. So I'm gonna try and get my finger in there and just push it back to the left, and then the bonnet should shut. So I'm gonna get right in the back of there, and you should see this pin, and that's, so it's just really stiff. You can see it there, really stiff. So I'm gonna get some WD-40 in there, get a screwdriver and just push it back and forward, and that should free that up.
So with a little bit of lube and a little bit of aggressive sticking, we actually get the bonnet to close. Although that did work, once I pulled the bonnet latch again, it actually got stuck again. So I had to just keep going back and forth, lubing it up, freeing it up, opening the bonnet, lubing it up, freeing it up, opening the bonnet, until it got to a point where it did it nicely. Now we're going to turn our attention to the most annoying problem with this car and why the belt is squeaking so damn loud. Now there's actually a little cover here, and once you actually remove this, you can actually get full access to the auxiliary belt.
Okay, so this is where we're coming into a bit of an issue. So the belt at the minute just goes up, around the alternator, and then back down. So you can't, there's no way of adjusting it. Because if you see here, this was where the original tensioner was. So there's an aircon down here. I'll put a diagram on the screen. It went around the tensioner, up over the alternator, around the aircon, and back to the crank. Now you can't do that if you've removed the aircon, because obviously this belt will just hit the pulley. So what these have done is they've actually just got a stretch belt and put that around. So I don't know if this is just really old and it's just stretched, or the belt was never right in the first place, but we're gonna take this off and order two belts. We're gonna order another one of these, a stretch belt, the exact same, and we're going to order one a little bit shorter, maybe 5mm shorter. And then that will tell us if this one's just stretched over time or if this one was too long in the first place. So hopefully we can just pull it off. It might be a bit difficult, but we should be able to get it up. Quite hard to do with one hand. Just keep winding it in like this. You get a bit further down, you should. You need two hands. And once you pull that and pull this bit down, it should just come off. Okay, so I've worked that side off. Just gonna keep going. And hopefully, it should just pull it off the crank. There we go.
Now, unfortunately, this wing is also cracked here, so it's not the end of the world, but it has got a crack, and we are going to flip it. So I'm going to try and get another wing off a 225. The good thing is with the bonnet, I can actually just get any Renault bonnet. It doesn't actually have to be a Megane Sport bonnet, but the wings do have to be Megane Sport, so they're a lot wider. Annoyingly as well, this was happening last night with the car. The door sometimes decides to work and sometimes doesn't decide to work. So right now, it's not shutting, right? It did this last night before I got on the trailer, and then today it's been fine up until now, and the latch just isn't latching there. It's almost like there's a permanent unlock button on or something like that. It's really weird. The other side works fine. This side just sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. So I'm guessing it might be something electrical. It might be something going on in here or something, and it's just constantly not letting the latch lock up because maybe it thinks, I'm not quite sure, maybe it's pulling on this. Probably what's happening is the cable's stuck again. Maybe the cable's constantly pulling out, so it thinks it's opening. Now I'm going to try and salvage this bumper because honestly it is not bad at all. Other than the tape, there actually isn't any damage to it at all, other than a tiny crack right down on the bottom down here, right at the bottom. Now we could probably fix that, and also when you buy second-hand bumpers, they're usually in a lot worse condition than this one is right here. There's actually no damage on it. It just doesn't look that nice because of all the tape. So we're actually going to tidy that bumper up, and we're going to take all the tape off it as well, and we're going to get a caramel wheel and try and remove all of this glue. But as far as bumpers go, this is actually in good condition. It just looks a little bit rough at the minute. Now this is a caramel wheel, and it is awesome at removing rubber or glue or anything sticky. But it does have its limits, and you do have to be careful because it can put a lot of heat into the paint. Now this gaffer tape, I don't know what gaffer tape it is. It's some strong gaffer tape. It is literally not moving, and I'm trying so hard to not burn through the paint, and it doesn't look like it's going to go well. So unfortunately here, I think instead of repainting this bumper, we're just going to get a whole new front end for the Megane. So now it's my job to get on the internet, get on Facebook, and try and find all the parts. So we'll see you in the next video.